Can we all stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
The Deal Lake Commission meeting will be audio and videotaped and will be shown on APTV, Optimum 77, and throughout most of Monmouth County on FiOS 30. The first item on the agenda is the resolution to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from June 18, 2020. Will someone please offer?
I'll offer.
Second? Second? Anybody second?
Sorry, second.
Jesse, did you do the roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You didn't
I'm
do the
sorry.
roll call.
I'm sorry. Allenhurst,
Yes, here.
Asbury Park,
Yes.
Interlaken,
Here.
Ocean,
Yes,
and Lock Arbor's not here, right? I don't see. Okay,
not yet.
all right. Our first resolution 2045, a resolution to approve the minutes of the regular meeting, June 18th, 2020. Asbury Park is offering and Interlaken is second. Allenhurst?
Abstain, I wasn't there.
Okay. Asbury Park,
Yes.
Interlaken,
Yes.
Lock Arbor, oh, sorry, Ocean.
Yes,
Next is resolution to approve the treasurer's report and pay bills for tonight. Does anybody have the report?
I have the report.
Okay,
The balance on hand from the previous month, the total on deposit was $131,377.94. We had total receipts of $91.99. We had total disbursements of $5,019.07. Then we had some disbursements with reference to the grants, which totaled $6,125.80. Total disbursements being $11,144.87. Total on deposit after all was said and done was $120,325.06.
someone please offer? Someone please offer?
so moved.
Second?
Campaign style,
I'll offer. Could we ask whoever it is that has.
Yeah, we have a speaker in the background.
Yeah,
Vice President.
someone has the news.
Jesse. Do you have something in the background?
Nope, I have nothing on.
Okay,
Hello?
Okay, that's better.
Okay,
thank
so
you.
Allenhurst offered, someone second?
Yes, I'll second.
I didn't
Al-
offer. Ocean offered.
Or Ocean offered, I'm sorry. Allenhurst,
Yes.
Asbury Park,
Yes.
Interlaken,
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes,
Okay, you're up, Don.
okay. 1 second. Okay. Bloom electrification. You know, it's going well. I'll tell you, it's bright down here. If you go down at night, the lights are doing well. We're in the final phase of the electrical box, the control box. The electric's all done. The control box is being installed. The cameras are installed, and we're just waiting for we have to vote tonight, and I'm not sure if it's separate vote or not. No, it's not on here. So we're gonna have to vote in a couple minutes for the Verizon bill. And I just want to tell you a little bit about that. So we had a couple options. One to do cable underground. We'd have to pull a new line. Verizon would have to come in and pull a line for X number of dollars. And the recommendation we had from day one was to use the wireless system, similar to what the police force does at Ocean and other towns. So we're going to go that direction. So we got the routing box is going to be bought by the contractor, and all we need to do is vote tonight on the expenditure and it's going to be an expenditure that's going to happen every year. It's going to be a recurring $39, basically a $40 bill a month with Verizon. And I don't think there's any installation costs. They just basically turn the switch. They're going to send us, once we tell them what router we got, they'll send us a card. We plug that in. Our contractor wires it up hooks the antenna up, and off we go. And we're active.
And
Now,
John, this is to control the flume. What is the
this
wireless?
is good to view the cameras, to control the lights, and to control the actual the gates, the 2 gates. And Peter will
Ron,
go
let me
through the
give a-
rest of it in a minute.
Let me give a brief engineering update to
Sure.
complement what you just said. All
Okay.
mechanical equipment has been installed for the flume electrification project. All electrical service has been installed. We're working now on what we call the electrical interface between the actuators and the control panel. And what that will do is exactly what Don was saying. You, through telemetry, you'll be able to key the electrical system to turn the actuators on and raise the sluice gates. That's just what we've been looking to do. Rick Manzo from Shore Security Systems is working with us on that. That'll complete the electrical side and the flume side. The general contractor, Precise, still has the concrete bulkhead repair to finish, and we have obviously a punch list of items. And right now it's operational electronically, but what we want is we want it to be operational through telemetry so we can do it remotely.
Okay, so the first motion we're gonna have to have on the table is to authorize expenditures of $40 a month. And I guess we have to do that through a certain period of time. At least I would take at least to March, and we'll take the next budget cycle, we'll take care of the rest. It'll be under from Lake $40 monthly from the Lake
To the end of the year.
to the end of the year. Okay, that's fine. $40, it'll be a $40 monthly charge to Verizon Wireless for the service. It's under a state contract. We've written the state pricing, and which is a good thing. And this is authorized myself to sign the contractual or the document, legal document with Verizon. So I'll do that tonight as soon as the meeting's over, and I'll email it over to the Verizon folks. So that's the motion. So $40 monthly fee for the rest of the year, under coming out of Lake Maintenance for the Verizon wireless system for the flume operation.
Your motion?
That's my motion.
Second.
Allenhurst,
Aye.
Asbury Park,
Yes.
Interlaken,
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Peter, you got any more on that?
Nope. We're in good shape. Anybody who wants to go down and take a look at it.
Yeah. You know what I think? I think beginning next month, before the next meeting,
Yeah.
maybe we'll all go down there at maybe between 5:30 and 6 and take a peek at it. I can open the doors. You guys can take a tour. It's pretty nice. It's coming out quite well.
Are we
It's not
able,
going to be finished painted. The wall's not going to be done, but I think most of the electronics will be in, and I hope the actuators will be working by then remotely. So
can you do that safely, Don? Like with social distancing? Are we? Is there,
sure, I'll put some 6-foot markers up, and we can line up and go in.
I could-
Actually, I have extra face masks in there. I got hand sanitizer in there. So if we need them, I got them. So we do not have to go in there at the same time. You just walk in.
Don can wear the little inflatable duck that he goes into his pool with to
That's
keep
right.
everybody 6 feet away from him.
Yeah,
I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
How are we doing with the gauges in connection with the flume electric?
That's all part of the checklist items. So that's they're going to go in with when we lower the lake to put the paint, finish up the wall. That's when they're going to go in.
When's that going to be?
It's not going to be until October. We don't want to lower the lake dramatically until October. So the cleanup time frame.
Jesse, when you were doing the roll call, you didn't mention Lock Harbor. I'm here for Lock Harbor,
Yes.
the alternate, Melanie.
Oh, Melody's here.
Oh, hi, Melanie.
Yeah, I've been here. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
So yes,
Why
to,
it threw me off. It said Frank.
I know, I'm sorry. I never changed that. I should change it.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Let's go to the next topic. I think the 319 grant. And Peter, you want to go over that?
Sure, we have a great, thanks to Jack and Matt Mariano of my office. We have great progress on this. The design was obviously completed. and for the MTD installation, one on Memorial Drive, which covers the Memorial Drive watershed, about 160 acres, 140 acres, and two on Grand Avenue, which covers the Grand Avenue Sunset Lake watershed. And the plans were submitted to DEP prior to going out to bid. And this past week, the plans were approved by DEP, thanks to Jack's persistence in asking, are they ready yet? Numerous times. And lo and behold, they're ready. So we have a tentative bid schedule. Gave it to Jesse, talked to Don about it, and we would like to advertise in the Coaster a week from today. The next publication, Thursday, July 23rd. It would be advertised for 3 weeks. We would receive bids on August 13th and have a week before our August 20th meeting, where if we have DEP approval by that time of the low bidder and the certification of funding, we could theoretically award a contract at the August 20th meeting. We have a little bit of work to do on completion of the plans and specs, primarily coordination of the project and the funding and the purchase of material. So within the next week, Don and I and Jesse will be talking to Steve and Jack, and we'll all come to agreement what that wording is going to be. And then we'll go out to bid.
Okay, thanks a lot. And thanks, Jack. I know Jack worked hard on that. And it was kind of, I didn't realize we had to send our stuff to DEP. And what Peter also mentioned was, even when we get the bids back, we have to make a recommended bid, award winner, but we also go to the DEP and have them review the bidder and supposedly the prospective winner to see if he's on the bad list. Is that correct, Peter?
Yeah, there is a disbarred list that we have to pass for the contractor to make sure they're capable of doing work in the state of New Jersey, which we'll do, but also do with the state. And I'll ask Steve and Jack with the 319 project coordination, is there anything else we need to get certification from Steve or before we recommend awarding a contract?
One of the other topics in the email, which a new word for the Deal Lake Commission is furlough. The DEP folks were furloughed. I didn't realize that was happening. And it affected the folks we work with. And Jack and I were ripping our hair. Look, he ripped his hair out. Mine's still here. But they said, we're not going to be able to review this for a while because it's going on furlough. But I don't know how it happened, but Jack pulled the right strings and got it going. So thank you, Jack.
Peter, could you just identify the
You're welcome.
Sorry, am I unmuted?
No, you're good.
Okay, Peter, could you just identify the two locations, and that's first, and also what's been the last time you've spoken or that Asbury Park's been contacted about those locations?
We hadn't changed anything since the presentation we made to Asbury Park.
Okay.
And Asbury Park was in the email that gave the okay from the DEP. So I included those folks in it.
Okay.
When we advertise, they'll be noticed as well.
So
The locations have not changed. Memorial Drive, I'm going to say approximately 6th Avenue.
I'm sorry, something's very scratchy. I'm sorry. Memorial Drive.
On 6th Avenue, we'll pick up the 48-inch pipe that discharges to the north on Memorial Drive through the high school boulevard property.
Okay.
Grand Avenue on the southeast corner of Grand Avenue and Grand Avenue and I'm thinking 6th, and then on the northwest corner of Grand Avenue and Sunset.
Yeah, should be. Is it 5th?
Not be 5th. South, where Grand Avenue crosses Deal Lake.
Okay, thank you.
In the southeast corner, there is a unit going in that controls about a 44-acre watershed. And on the northwest corner of Grand Avenue and Deal Lake, there is a unit going in that's about a little less than 25 acres of watershed.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay.
And the Sunset Lake Commission has been noticed on that.
Any other questions for the
Yes,
commission?
we have to authorize the receipt of bid.
Go ahead. Let's go.
You have to authorize the receipt of bids for the 3 stormwater treatment devices. Someone please offer.
Offered.
Second,
I'll second.
Allenhurst,
Yes.
Asbury Park,
Yes.
Interlaken,
Yes.
Lock Arbor,
yes,
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay.
And Jesse, just to be sure, caveat, subject to DEP approval.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Great. We've been talking about these 2 projects for a long time. And thanks to
Hey.
Jesse and thanks to Don for helping coordinate all this and all the commissioners to
You
get it
too.
done.
So our goal is to have a name, a contractor, award winner by the next meeting.
Well, if all goes well and there aren't any either cost, financial, or DEP snags, that's absolutely what we're looking for.
Okay.
And with that, we will then get a bid schedule. And the bid schedule will be obviously dependent upon the fabrication of the units. So that's the thing we're going to be talking about through the next week to get that wording correct so that the contractor can purchase the equipment and doesn't have a financial hardship and we can get the grant to pay for it.
Okay. Thanks. Organic removal from Fireman's Pond.
Okay.
I had
Sorry,
a phone
just
call from.
one quick thing. I just have a question for
Okay.
Peter and for Jack. What has transpired with DEP's request to do an engineering review on the, what we're proposing to do? Did they relent on that, or is that something that's still?
No, Steve, that's what they all approved.
No,
That's what
it
they
went to them and they approved it, yeah.
Yeah, we actually made a full submission to them.
Mhm.
And they said it had to go through engineering review, but they were furloughed, so they're making, and then maybe a week to 10 days later, and numerous emails from Jack to our project coordinator, they asked us to move forward.
Yeah,
That's good.
the only other hang up, I saw an email today from Jack, dealt
Yeah.
with the
I wanted to touch on that.
floating islands. Go ahead. You want to talk about that, Jack?
Well, I just wanted to, first I wanted to ask, and I'm sure I would have heard about it if you guys had gotten it, but I haven't heard anything about the DLA Commission receiving the check that they had approved back in May.
Haven't received it.
Okay, and so that was what the email was today saying, hey, DEP, what's the status of this check? Because it went in with our quarterly report
Mhm.
back in May. They, emails went back and forth and they said it was approved. It was in the process of getting the check getting written, I guess, and just trying to figure out where that stands. I haven't received a response, but as Don alluded to, this is a period of furlough. So it seems that at least our DEP contact is working at least Monday, Tuesday, and I think they have a short week. So they're furloughed for at least Thursday, Friday. So we may not hear a response from them until at least till Monday, because that happened last week too. In that they were, any contact I had with DEP, I received a response saying, "I'll get back to you on the 13th." So I'm starting to get a little nervous in that we still have some time, but if we were to get the check today, it would take about 2 weeks if there was no other orders from our particular manufacturer to get the islands ordered. Probably another 2 weeks to get them delivered. So we can plant them even into September. There have been some, the company themselves say it's okay to plant them even as late as October, but that makes me nervous. I'd rather have them in when there's nice weather so the plants can get established during a good time of the year. And that way they can overwinter a lot more confidently. So like I said, we have a little bit of time before I start getting very concerned, or we have to push this off until next spring. But I'm hoping we get that check soon.
Yeah. I'll go tomorrow again.
Jack, does that, I know I think the last time we met, you were discussing involving the community and helping to establish those islands.
And
So,
we can, go ahead, sorry.
well, just that, it is, how do you see that timeline at this point with getting people involved? And
Honestly, if you had asked me a week ago, I would have said, I think that it would be fine still. Now I'm just seeing what's happening in the rest of the country, this timeline. I'm not sure what our status is going to be with COVID in a month and a half, just by virtue of what's happening in the rest of the country. Again, it looks like New Jersey's been pretty good with prevention and keeping cases down. So I don't foresee it being a huge issue so long as we're able to keep social distancing. I'm not going to look for a huge crowd. We can manage who's there and who shows up by having signups. I don't remember exactly what the limit is for public gatherings. It's either 25 or 50 people. Either way, again, we can control who comes and helps. We can have 6 feet at very least of distance between people. We actually had a pretty good planting up at Greenwood Lake with about 10 I think it was 10 or 12 people total. So about eight volunteers.
Okay, and how do you want us to help you to reach out for volunteers?
You know what? Let's hold off on that because I think next month we'll be able to address that. So I want to keep.
We'll get to it. Yeah.
I want to keep the meeting moving. Okay, guys?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get there. I'll work out the presentation.
Okay.
Prior to that, yeah, we'll
and we're going to get Tom involved with the shade tree group there.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And, Don, before you leave this topic, just one other thing, so everyone is aware. Just in case something not necessarily goes wrong, but is a little slower than we anticipated. Maybe the DEP receipt, maybe they want to look at the bids a little longer than we anticipated. The worst thing that can happen is we put the award off for a month or so. I'll ask Hunt the question. We typically recommend award of contract subject to DEP approval and authorization. And that way, the contract is awarded, the contractor knows it's going to be his job. He can start procuring equipment, and we have no financial obligation until the construction starts.
Can we do that
next month?
You want to run that question by me again? I had a motorcycle going by as you started, so I couldn't hear.
I heard that. Our recommendation at the next month's meeting, if we receive bids and get a positive response from DEP, would be to recommend award subject to formal authorization by DEP.
I don't see why not, but
that's exactly how we would do it.
Then we don't have to meet again. Right? That's what you're trying to say.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. We'll proceed knowing that we have 5 weeks until next month's meeting because there's an extra Thursday toward the end of July. So that helps us a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Takes some time. All right.
And you gave those timelines. You were talking August
correct
13th, right? Is that it?
13th for receipt.
Yeah. Okay. Next, the organic material for fire response. Marty had called me, Martino, and he had talked to the firemen, the commissioners of Wanamassa, and getting involved. And I have talked to them. We're going to discuss it again. But I thought it was a really good idea to get them involved. So even though there's no current status, we are approaching the fire commissioners, and we're going to re-talk to the town and the county, because in my opinion is we should drain the thing. We're going to do anything. We're going to dredge it. You got to de-water. So start de-watering process now by eliminating the lake, to opening it up and letting it flow freely. So we got to talk it over with the county on that. Peter and I have that on our docket to do. The ship and stiff program. You knew about the sewer leak. That was right after we did the test, and we didn't see any problems at that particular location. But we weren't. It was upstream, and it was a small leak that expanded. We believe because of the new pumping systems, it blew up the pipe or cracked the pipe, and it leaked out right on Page Avenue and Euclid. So that eventually dripped, flowed right into the lake. That was before last month. I think that would happen before the last meeting. But township was, Toasted took care of that. But it's all kind of related because with this number 6. Clean Ocean Action, we're still waiting for another rainstorm. We had one the other day. We couldn't get the TOSA guys involved. But the next rainstorm, we're going to try to do more dye testing on the upper sections where we had some problems. Any questions on that?
We skipped water testing, Monmouth University.
Oh, sorry. Water testing. Steve, you want to talk about the water testing? Monmouth University? Because I know they're doing it.
I did have a chance to speak with Jason. A couple of things. I expressed to him my concern about some of the variability with the data, and we went over that. And he acknowledged that that there's definitely the need for some more education, but with COVID and the inability to meet, that's an issue right there. However, he did send me a ton of data. It's mostly data that's been collected by Monmouth University. The majority of the data is complete through 2019, but he had some really good, various regression equations and plotted literally hundreds of data points. So he's got some very tight records, but most of that represents data that Monmouth has collected themselves, as opposed to the CLONET data. So with the CLONET data, he acknowledged that, we need to get together with these folks and kind of go over things. He sent me a map with all this, with all of the sample station locations. And, I looked at things, trying to take some of that data and match it up to different stations to see, well, maybe some of this variability is just, a function of location. And some of it is, but I have to be honest with you, some of the data is there's a lot of outliers. So bottom line is that I don't want to discount citizen science. I mean, it's a really important thing in getting people involved, getting people out there. But people need to constantly be trained and retrained, and the data needs to be, quality controlled. But with that said, the data that he's collected himself, or Monmouth University has collected, is really great data, and it covers, a really wide variety of water quality parameters that are reflective of the lake status.
He did have students test the water down by the flume. I actually met the girl and gave her my card. I didn't get any email. I was hoping to get some emails on data. But she was taking samples. She was doing blue-green algae checks. So obviously it was high at the time, but now I think it's washed out pretty well after the last storm.
Yeah, I haven't seen any 2020 data. Like I said, the most recent data that, that I have on these data plots, I just opened them up before the meeting, runs through, it looks like October, November of 2019.
Yeah, no, he has some recent stuff that has Deal Lake spiking.
Yeah, I think he sent it, I can send it to you, Steve, what he sent to us most recently, those of us that were out there testing. But if you've talked to him recently, he probably already shared that with you. If not.
No, the most recent conversation I had with him is mid-June. So it's about a month ago, a little bit more than a month ago.
Yeah, Deal Lake had the highest spike of any of the lakes locally, but it definitely looks different. And by the way, water temperature is at least 86 last time I checked. So it's pretty hot. It's a lot warmer than the ocean for sure.
And just to
Send me
add
what would be that data when you get a chance, please?
I will. And he did say that he would like to do training, and we think we can do it safely because we'll do it outside anyway, and it will be 6 feet apart, and we should be able to do our training. As I said at other meetings, because of COVID, we didn't get our second set of tests of our training. We had all anticipated having a second training session, but he couldn't even get into the university to get the equipment that he needed.
And the first time we did it, we had to break the ice on the lake to take water samples.
Right,
Got it.
So,
Not the most ideal situation.
No, nothing about it's been ideal, but that's okay. We'll just we have a bunch of people that still really want to do it, and are willing to go and learn and continue their training, so, and continue their sampling. So
Yeah,
that,
the one thing we have to learn from Monmouth University is, and I think they got money to do this, is learn where the blue-green algae, where the sources of nutrients are. I think that was kind of the whole point of
Yeah,
the funding.
well, that's the driver. I mean, everything, associated with these harmful algae blooms is driven by nutrients. That's why we're doing all of the stormwater work.
Right.
It's to reduce phosphorus loading to the lake. So that's what it all really kind of boils down to.
Okay, thanks. Let me go back to the sewer line break. By the way, the sewer line break was completely fixed. They encased it in concrete, and I was by the house the other day, and they fixed the sidewalk and fixed the gentleman's lawn, so it's back in shape. But they did mention to me that they did a complete analysis and ran a robot through the line, which is a couple of miles long, as I remember. And it took 5 days for the concrete to cure. So I think they did that work while it was curing. And if you remember, the pipe was running over to Asbury Park, and Asbury Park was taking care of the sewage flow for our area during that time. So it was nice to know that we can quickly cut over to Asbury Park, and I think vice versa if there's an emergency in Asbury.
sewer line break was on Main Street. Is that the one?
No, the break was not. It was on Page and Euclid in Lock Harbor.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Okay. Seaview Mall, not much on that. No, Laura and I are talking about trying to get together with Vin Gopal and Tommy Arnone and the key players there. So we're still working that. Weed treatment update. Weed treatment was done on the lower section down between Wickapecka and I think Drummond Court. And that was one day, and the next week they did the upper section in Colonial Terrace. It looks better. It's not perfect. We got the report the other day on the 9th from Solitude, and they recommend no further treatment down in the main lake, which I suspected. And they recommend another treatment in a week or so if conditions warrant in terms of water quality. So they have to have a certain level of oxygen in the water to treat. So and I think pH, is that correct, Steve?
Yeah, so with this particular chemical Clipper, if the pH exceeds 8, then they won't be able to use that product. They'll have to use an alternative. Problem with the alternative is that it has a longer irrigation restriction.
Right.
So the two things would be adequate amount of oxygen, which would have to be 5 milligrams per liter or greater, so the fish don't get stressed out. It's not the chemical that stresses them, it's when the weeds start to die.
Sure.
That consumes oxygen, and that leads to, a decline in, in dissolved oxygen. And a pH of greater than 8, less than 8 rather. So those are the two things they're going to be primarily looking for.
Yeah. So, I'm a little, we're definitely not doing the lower section. The upper section, I'm a little leery about. So we're going to keep a close eye on that oxygen level. And I'm even talking to the company about doing it in 2 stages, if possible. What do you think?
They could do that. It's a contact herbicide, so they could, target weeds like, say, from Wickapecka up to the golf course intake, and just treat that section first, and then come back and treat from the intake.
Well, they could split it in half. I guess they could split. We'll ask them if splitting in half makes sense.
They could do that, if there's concern about oxygen levels. But that could be done.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's that for the weed treatment. And by the way, in coming months, we're going to definitely talk about doing some kind of arrangement where we have yearly contracts with these guys. We'll put a yearly statement, a multi-year statement out, and have a weed treatment program where they're on board right from the get-go. Because it definitely makes sense to do it. Unfortunately, they didn't get the permit in fast enough to do the early May treatment. It would have been better to get it done up there early May. Less material to kill, right?
Yeah, well, keep in mind now their permit, the permit that Solitude holds, is good through next year. It's a 2-year permit.
Okay.
So as long as they remain the contractor, the permit remains
Yeah.
active.
The other discussion on weed treatment is, should we bring back Sunset and ask Asbury Park for us to oversee that treatment? It seems like a logical thing. I brought the Solitude folks over there to look at Sunset. I told them what they were using, the material, and they thought it was inappropriate based on what they saw.
And
So-
I've said that 100 times.
I know.
It is.
I
It's not. It's not the appropriate material, and even that, it's being overtreated. So I think
So,
Asbury.
Jeannie, yeah,
No,
can we ask Jeannie? Jeannie, can you ask Asbury Park? We would like to take that back over, the treatment, oversight of the treatment on that lake. And we'll work with the commission on it, but, we want one contractor to do both. And it just seems logical that we have more eyes on it.
Who have you been speaking to prior to this regarding Sunset Lake and its treatment? Just Sunset Lake?
Multiple people on the commission, and every time I hear it is, oh, well, we have a long-term contract and they treat when they treat. They can't stop the treatment. And I go, what do you mean you can't stop the treatment? In other words, you got a contract for 3 treatments, they treat it 3 times, no matter what.
So you've been talking with the Sunset Commission people.
I have.
Okay, I don't know this to be true. I just am assuming that probably Asbury Park is having the Sunset Commission take care of Sunset Lake.
The Sunset does not take care of that. It's really the town does it. The town authorizes, awards the contract, not the commission.
So who is making this decision about
It's
this?
Bill. It's the DPW guy, I assume.
Right. No,
It was probably done under the previous manager, and there's a new manager now. So
Yeah.
we can address this with the manager and see if we can take it over. I don't. It's part of Deal Lake as far as I was concerned, and I don't have a problem using our Lake Maintenance Fund for treating that. I don't have a problem. You guys might, but I don't have a problem with that.
Well, I can confirm, because when that it's the DPW that oversees that. It's not the commission, because when Princeton Hydro had the contract was with the city, and it was the oversight was provided by DPW.
Okay. So you want to meet with them? You want to meet with
We don't have to meet with anybody. We just, if you could mention it to the town manager and see if we could take that back over next year. They don't have to deal with it. We'll deal with it.
Okay, we'll talk
Yeah,
about what
okay.
you want to put together to express to the city manager about that.
Okay.
Okay.
The assessments. Jesse, you want to talk about that?
Still haven't received Interlaken's assessment or Lock Arbor's.
According to Lock Arbor, they sent it and it got lost, I guess. That's what I got.
I'll contact
And-
Mr.
And Don, I received an email from the mayor that he's willing to get together with us next week to talk about lake assessments.
Right.
Lake maintenance, okay?
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I sent an email back to you on Monday would be the best for me. Maybe I can squeeze Tuesday in, but I'm away. I'm on vacation starting Wednesday.
Okay.
So phase 1, 319 with NJIT. Well, it would have been great to have our algae eating boat from China, but it hasn't arrived yet. I haven't seen it. So if you see it, give me a call. I got no notification. I sent an email to them and I got silence from NJIT. They've been real good about coming back to us on this subject, and I got nothing. So I assume they're still shut down. Unfortunately, I don't even know if they got the actual award. They were selected to be a grant recipient, but I don't know if they actually got the signed contract in place. But they were supposed to bring an experimental boat over from China, or maybe the technology, maybe not the boat, but the technology from China, and cruise around Deal Lake and eat algae. Basically, Steve, can you describe the system?
It's a little bit different than eating algae. It's essentially a filtering device. So it sucks up the water. I guess like the best way to describe it is a belt filter press where it gets sucked up. The water is mixed in a tank. It gets filtered, and then the cells are removed from the water, and the water is sent back into the lake. That's as far as I can tell in talking to them. That's what it basically comes down to.
But these people would be coming here from China? I mean, I,
No. It's NJIT.
oh, okay,
So
I'm
it's
sorry.
professors.
It's technology from China.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's different.
There's literature citations on it and stuff. It's not like some super secret thing. It's basically a small barge that runs around the lake, pumps water, and then filters out the cells and returns the water to the lake.
Okay.
It was
Sands,
supposed to, all this grant money was released so we can, work during the algae season, which is now. Lake Apacom, actually, Jack, where's Jack go? Jack, can you talk about that with what's happening with the folks up in Greenwood Lake? Did I lose Jack? I think we lost him.
Mute. But I know, Greenwood is having a HAB right now. They're one of the 7 lakes in the state with a confirmed harmful algae bloom. Next week, we're having a Zoom meeting that's a little bit lower on your agenda there, the Great Lakes Committee.
Right.
But we are having a Zoom meeting to kind of go over things, not only about, what's happening with the Patcong and Greenwood, but just with, things with DEP and the new DEP protocol, that they launched this year for defining what's a HAB. So, but I mean, if Jack is back on, he can tell you about some of the projects that have been implemented to date with some of that same 319 money that NJIT got over at Greenwood, Patcong, and Lake Mohawk. At least, that's work that's being done by Prince and Hydro. You there, Jack?
Yeah, I am. I keep losing signal for whatever reason. Anyway, Greenwood has and you might lose me again, who knows. Greenwood has a feasibility study to put in a nutrient inactivation system using iron enrichment. Patcong has a whole slew of things, one of which we're working on right now, that we're installing biochar bags in one of the coves, which involves essentially, it's like turning it's like an aquarium filter. You have activated charcoal.
Breaking up a little bit, but basically that's what biochar is. It's essentially like an activated charcoal.
Various nutrients.
I can tell you a couple of other projects.
Whole slew of other things going on. Thanks.
I can hit on some of them if you want, Jack, because you keep breaking it, in and out. So,
please. Sorry about that.
So at a Patcong, they did the largest, I think, in the nation, phoslock treatment, which is a nutrient inactivator. It basically binds phosphorus. If you guys want to see videos of it, it is up online. I think through the Lake Patcong Commission or through the foundation or probably through Princeton Hydro's website. There's drone footage of the of the product being laid out. So it's similar to alum, it binds phosphorus. They did a similar type of project at Mohawk through a public-private partnership with the Lake Mohawk Country Club. And then they're doing a slew of stormwater projects at a Patcong and I think a small one at Mohawk as well. So similar, but of a smaller scale than what is being done with the 319 money that we secured for deal. But
very good, very good. Let me keep rolling.
Right.
Any more word, Steve, on the 319 grant, the second phase?
Because they're on furlough, nothing. They had promised last month that they were going to make notices, but nothing as of yet.
Well, now we had a submission in that. How much was that again?
I don't recall. I don't recall. It was. It was.
I want to say it was 80 or 90 grand.
80 or 90. Okay. Keep your fingers crossed then. And that's for the various different studies and basically working up we're hopefully up the Seaview Mall section to do the engineering up there. That was part of the plan.
Right, that was part of it. And essentially, the money that we could qualify for through that particular grant, uh, we were somewhat limited to doing these pre-designed type studies and, like initial analyses and things like that. Basically, to do the homework to then do the kind of stuff that Peter and Jack are doing now with the, current 319 money.
Right. All right, great. Goose treatment. So, we did that treatment on the grasses and Ocean Township and Asbury. It worked pretty well. And we'll probably revisit that next year. But we have our folks from, Keith is here with us from, and Gail, I think too, from the folks at the Wesley Lake, our friends at Wesley Lake, and they had some interesting proposals. I'll just show you real quick on the screen. I can share this, and then I'll have Keith talk about it. Let me see if I got it here. Hold on one second. There it is. Keith, you want to talk about this? All yours, Keith.
You might be muted, Keith.
Yeah, I think Cam was going to unmute him. I guess you get. There you go.
Does that work?
Yeah.
We hear you now.
Okay, great. Basically, we've got more geese than we've ever had. And I think it's because they've come over from another lake, and now we've got well over 50 geese in our small little lake, and it's pretty out of hand. So we really had to think about what we're going to do about this. And I did a lot of research with this. I spoke to this company that Don has a slide up, Away with Geese, out of Ohio. And what these lights do is, because apparently these geese don't really have like an eyelid, they can't sleep when these lights are blinking. And what they do is, if you scroll down a little further, Don, I think there's a site map too.
Right there.
You see the site? Yep, you see the site map. Run about 10 units, I think, the length of the lake down the middle. And what this will do is allow them to not sleep, and they get restless, and then they want to move on. So what's great is if we approach this in a bigger way too, where we have the geese chasing in the beginning of the season, we have the eggs being idled, and we have hopefully some other people chasing them away a little bit with lasers or whatever we can at night when they're walking their dogs or whatever. And then we incorporate these lights. Apparently they're supposed to be very, very quite effective, and we should be able to get rid of these guys, at least for the most part. I spoke to the head of DPW at Edgewater, where they had a very similar problem. They have big grassy fields of soccer, and then they have boats and docks, and they had geese everywhere. And he said these lights were super effective for them. From what I've read on reviews, if you incorporate a full system like we're talking about, they're really, really effective. They're not so effective on their own, but then again, nothing is. So this seems to be a really good approach, and we're going to try it. We ordered 10 units, I think just yesterday, and they should be here very, very soon. And then we're going to install them. They float in the water, about 9 inches out of the water. So it's not supposed to be some crazy obtrusive light. As we know, someone will definitely complain, but the amount of goose poop on the sidewalk to me is a fair trade-off and a little bit of a blinking light. And we'll see how it looks and see how it does. We want to let everybody know, because if it works for us and we're implementing this system and they do move on, they're probably going to either go to Fletcher or back to Sunset, or they're coming your way, Don. So
we chased them your way.
I know you did. So now they're coming back, and I'm going to put a little sweater on him. He's going to hang out in your backyard. It's going to be great. So,
we're going to send them over to Bruce's house.
That's cool. I don't care where the hell they go. Well, they're in front of my house. I live right on the water, and they're destroying my grass, and there's poop everywhere.
So, hey Keith, how are you going to get how are you going to deploy them? Are you going to physically go out in a rowboat and drop an anchor? Or?
Yeah, pretty much what you do is you get like a little flat bottom boat or something like that, and it looks like Neptune's going to help us get the boats. And either Neptune or Asbury Park DPW will do them, or even Doug and I'll do it. All you really need is a nylon waterproof kind of cord, attach it to a cinder block or something, let it sit in the water, tie it off at about the right length, and it floats on its own. They're solar powered. They don't need any energy other than that. They're guaranteed for 6 months, money back guarantee even. So it seems to me to be a really good option that's progressive and doesn't hurt anybody. Doesn't chase away the swans, doesn't chase away the ducks or anything else either. So hopefully we'll get some good results out of this thing. I'm hopeful.
Keith, could I ask a question?
Of course.
Is it seasonal, or how long do they stay in? Just when they're around, and when is it year round?
Yeah, according to the Away with Geese rep that I spoke with, they leave them in year round. They're pretty industrial strength, so even if they freeze, they should be fine. We'll have to alert our swan boat friends and make sure they don't have people run them down, and hopefully people at the beer garden or other venues don't decide to throw rocks at them or anything else. It's supposed to be pretty tough. But again, you know, this is to me is like a best effort, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see how long they last and everything else. There's an industrial unit, which is basically the same unit as this, which is in the slide to the bottom left, where they go in the ground with this big metal auger.
Oh, I
It's supposed to be pretty tough. So there's 2 ways of doing it. So they can go on the ground, they can go in the water. So depending on what your area looks like, and because we're so residential on the Ocean Grove side, and all the businesses on the other side, it didn't seem to be a good idea to put them outside of the water. We thought too many people would mess with them.
So the one
I can add, you know,
It's
and I
this
can
one.
add that I did deal with a golf course. I'm trying to remember which one. It's in Monmouth County though, and they deployed them on their ponds, and they had a lot of success with them. So I can just add that.
That sounds great.
The other thing, you know, before they even get a chance to hatch their eggs and start, you know, growing into larger geese, I was really impressed with what happened this year, because we ended up with, Don, what was the group that came and treated the eggs?
USDA, I think it's a USDA. believe it or not.
USDA. So they came and they treated, and this year, for the first time in so long, we did not have a lot of geese. There still were our geese, but it really reduced the geese population. And I don't know how we would, but I would like to see this happening. You know, I know you said it's something that they're contracting with each town, but again, that's something that we might bring to each town, you know, as the representatives from Deal Lake, suggesting that they go with this, because they did a really good job of it.
Well,
and then,
you know,
then
this is,
we need fewer, you know, this is after they're around kind of, you know, and that's great, because, you know, that they're there. But if we can prevent them from being so many of them from the beginning.
There's true, Jeannie. And I think we're gonna talk to them early, like a January timeframe, and get them on board with the treatment of the grasses around the areas. I'd like to get Interlake and the Lock Harbor on board. If these lights work, you know, we'll discuss that next year. But I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you guys that they work.
According to the guy in Edgewater, if we do what you guys have been doing, which is putting down that grape repellent, and we get the geese chasers and the eggs gone, using the same, we're supposedly using the same teams that you guys are using for that.
Okay.
We implement this 4-prong approach kind of thing, we should have a very successful attack on these guys. And I do think the more we continue to talk, like all these different commissions, the better off we're going to be. Because honestly, if Sunset didn't chase their geese over here, we wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah, you're right.
We didn't know they were even doing anything. And I'm like, you know, we've got to communicate this stuff, guys, because like we got to work together on this stuff, because it's
right now. Our biggest problem in Deal Lake right now is people feeding the geese. 3 times this week, 2 people I talked. I couldn't talk to them today. There was one car drove up, dumped bread all over the ground, and there's 30 geese eating up right where the end is, right by the new parking lot, and the geese were going wild. And there was a lady in the Lock Harbor. She walked right over to the shoreline and started feeding the geese. And I told her, you can't do it. So I'm thinking we're going to have to coordinate, and I think we can talk to the towns. I don't mind putting new signs up around the area talking about geese. I think each town has regulations about feeding fowl. So We
Mhm.
really got to look into that for each of our towns and ask our towns to put additional signs up. So Jeannie, if you could talk to Asbury and Melanie, if you could talk to Lock Aura at putting signs up, they can use the existing poles there, but they have to have I'm sure they have regulations of feeding the wildlife, and it's just out of control.
What,
Yeah, Don, we talked about that in Ocean Grove, Don, that they were going to be at the end of every fire lane
Right.
in Ocean Grove, and because that's where a lot of people who
That's a good
are
idea.
coming down to do. So we were going to do it at the end of every fire lane. You know, through my Friends of Wesley Lake group, we put some more informational signs out about watershed and certain waterfowl that's there. But we're going to figure out the best looking signs to put up about not feeding the geese, so they don't look like some, like, you know, those kind of signs that look like a road department sign, and no one wants to read those.
Yeah.
So we need to educate people. Not if it just says don't feed the geese, they're not going to do anything. We need to tell them don't feed the geese. Why?
What
Make
I'd
it
like
look cool.
to suggest, I think you're absolutely right, Keith, in that, you know, we all need to be on board, and because we're literally chasing after each other, you know, doing this.
Crazy.
So, but I would like to suggest this to the commission, that we dedicate a specific period of time, a workshop where we get the lakes together and we find out who the people are in the different towns that are in charge of this, and then and go with these and see if we can get something together, you know, really make a plan.
Jeannie, I'll take that lead on that. I'm going to talk to Keith offline, and we're going to make a sign up, and we'll propose it to the towns. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, get a.
I don't like I want action. So I really don't want any meetings. I want to just get it done. It's been way too long, and we've been dragging this thing out for a while, and we got to stop the geese feeding. So we got to do something positive. And Keith and I could probably put something together, and we'll have it at the next meeting, Keith. Okay.
I agree that I just feel that it's better if we get a plan together, and the only way we'll do that is to get the people.
Jeannie, the plan's easy. The plan's very easy. We're going to get a sign. We're going to work a joint informational sign, simple, that says, "Please don't feed the geese."
But how are we going to
here's why.
The eggs?
That's a long-term range. I'm talking today. I'm talking something we need right away. So
well,
we got to stop the feeding. And we know the spots. I know the spots where the people drive up. We just have to stop it. I'm going to move on.
That won't address the whole problem. So.
Jeannie, I'm moving on.
John,
Keith, thank you
let
very
me just
much.
add, hey, if I can add just two things quick. Number one, the towns can get credit for MS4 compliance by doing that. So that is an incentive right there. And then number two, I do a whole class on goose control. You know, so I've got a whole PowerPoint set up with goose control alternatives and all the rest of that stuff, and why geese are so impactful to lakes. So I just did this for my pond course that I did, you know, yesterday and Tuesday. So anyhow,
Steve, would you be willing to share some of those charts so we can put them on our website and Facebook?
Yeah, I'll give you the entire PowerPoint.
Okay, can you do that? I'll put it up right away. Yeah, that'd be great. And we could, you know, briefing people is great, but I think we just got to get information. It's individual people that want to do good things for the animals and the birds, and they don't realize they're actually doing harm. So
or harming them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, let me move on. Lake Appreciation Contest, I think that was complete. How'd you girls do on that? Jeannie and
hey guys.
Carol. Oh, thanks guys. Thanks, Keith.
See ya.
Well, hi, Keith.
That's different. So the lake appreciation thing that's an additional thing. The other thing that was done was the poster contest. So lake appreciation, July is through the North American Lake Management Society, the Lake Appreciation Month. And what the Deal Lake Commission has done in the past is just, you know, done a simple resolution, you know, declaring that in light of NOM's recognizing lakes and July being Lake Appreciation Month, the commission passes this resolution, blah, blah, blah. And then you send them a copy of your resolution and they'll put it in their database, okay? And then if somebody has a Secchi disc, they want to go out and measure the clarity of the lake on any particular day, I'll show you how you enter that into the NOM's website in their database. So those are the two things. And the commission has done this before. You just pass a resolution and then you send a copy of the resolution to NOMS. And I can give you the email address and all the rest of that stuff who
Okay.
you send it to. All right?
You want to do that resolution next month, or how do you want to
You
do
can
that?
do it right now. It's July.
It's July, right? You
Yeah,
want
it's
to
July.
Yeah, someone offer
Okay.
and.
You want to make
someone-
who wants to make it? It's Jeannie, you want to make the resolution?
Oh,
I'll do the re- I'll-
yeah. Go ahead, Jesse.
I'll do the resolution. Someone just offer and second, and I'll draw up a resolution.
And Jesse, I'll help you with the wording on it.
Okay.
I'll
It's
offer
pretty
the
straightforward.
resolution.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Somebody second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Email me tomorrow and I'll put together like 4 or 5 sentences. That's all it is. And then you can put it in, therefore and thus and all the rest of
Right,
that
so
stuff that you do. in the
whereas,
resolution.
now therefore, yep, got
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Next on the list, our favorite contractor, Ability Crest.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
let me just show you. Let me just show you what they've done to us again. Hold on. Where'd they go? Uh-oh. Did I lose them? Hold on.
You got to find Laura McBride's. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There they are. That's a week ago, I believe. No, I'm sorry. It's a week the big storm, not the last one, the one before that, I believe. That's when they went uncontrolled. They were building the last building. The last incident we had, they actually have a building in the site where that was. And then the new building is on the south end of the complex. And Laura went up there, got lots of pictures, and basically caught them in the act. Informed me. I went to the town. The next day, they had barriers up protecting the filter, the grates, which they should have had all along, right? So this is the third time, as far as I know, that second time in 1 year that we had a huge sediment wash down into our lake. So I've asked Hunt to look into it. We have further discussion to be made on it. And if is Laura still here?
I didn't see Laura on. Was
No,
she?
but I think Sylvia is there, and maybe she can talk for the group. Sylvia? Is Sylvia there? Sylvia's there. Sylvia lives right on the lake. Can you tell us
Hi.
how bad it is?
Hey, Don, can you
Excellent.
guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes, we can hear
Wait
you.
a second, let me put that up here. So, as bad as that looks from a year ago, and it was like almost a year to the day, it was exactly the same last week. I sent Don some pictures of the lake behind my house. We had a big rainstorm on Friday night. On Saturday, the entire lake, and I live 2 doors away from Laura, the entire lake was just brown. It was like something, just like some kind of a war just happened in there. It was absolutely horrible. We couldn't figure out where it was coming from, and I had spoken with Don,
Here we
mentioned
go.
that you think that it might be from residual sediment or silt that was in their
That's
pipe
what it looks like.
distribution. You're right. So and I know like Don was gracious and patient enough with me while I was ranting. That's how bad it was. And I don't think I've ever called you and ranted, Don. I think I've known you
Long
now
time.
for 20 years. I've ranted. It's awful. And the fact of the matter is, and while I appreciate that a year ago, when Laura found where the culprit was, that they put up barriers the next day, it's too late by then, and we haven't done anything to hold them accountable. As a matter of fact, it might have been a week later that the escrow money that they had in the account that is held for such things was returned to them by Ocean Township, all but like $60,000.
Wow.
So there's nothing for us to leverage. And obviously, because here it is a year later, and the situation every bit as bad. And I think
Yeah, nothing
that
happened
it's
last time.
it's time for, I think, stronger actions. And whether that is something that happens through the governing body, through the cities, or personally, I'm happy to file a suit. I'm happy to talk to the DEP, the EPA, anybody, because there's really not much left in this
Right.
lake behind where Laura and I live.
That's right. That's
We
directly in back of.
are between Colonial Terrace Golf Course. Yeah, there's not, I mean, and Don, I'll send you the video. My husband was in the lake in his wetsuit, and I had him standing, this is last week, with a 5.5-foot rake in his hand. I said, just push this down and see how far into the silt it goes. It went all the way down. It could have gone farther, but then he would have lost the rake. But I have the video of it, and that's just at the bottom of the bank here, that it's at least 6 feet of silt. We're going to be walking across this. This is going to be a marsh. And I think that if these developers or whomever it is can't be held accountable, it's time for us to do something a little bit stronger. And by a little bit stronger, I mean a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely going to talk about it, and I believe we'll do something action within the month. But we're going to have to talk about it on executive session. So, but it's bad. We can't let these guys get away with it. They've gotten away with it too long, and it's almost. It's a slap in our face that they let it happen again. That was.
Don, if you let me interject a second. I mean, I know it needs to go to an executive session to discuss the various ramifications of it, but the basic question that I have is, Sylvia, did this get reported last week? Have there been reports? Has this been reported?
I sent the pictures to Don.
Okay.
And the answer is this is well documented, Hunt, with the soils group. And also the town. Yes. And also the town was well aware. The email was sent to the town immediately upon receipt from Laura.
Okay, so the county and the town were notified.
The county's not involved. The soils group is not the county. It's a state operation. Is that correct, Peter?
All right.
Peter, is that correct? Did somebody wake up Peter? He's there.
He's frozen.
He put a picture in there.
Here we go.
It's the Department of Agriculture. It's more federal than state.
It's more federal? Okay.
Yeah, it used to be the Soil Conservation Service.
Okay.
But it's not anymore. Yeah.
All right. Well,
where is that Nobility Crest photograph? Where is that area in relationship to where this to where Sylvia's area is? How far is it from it?
It's Cedar Creek. It's Cedar Village. It's above 18, west of 18.
Okay, and where was the area where we saw all the sediment floating on top?
Sorry, coming out.
That's right back by the golf course. Right by the golf course.
By the golf course.
Colonial Terrace. Yep. Sylvia's on the south side. Golf course is on the north side.
So
do we have somebody that can prove that silt?
Oh yeah, we have drone
it's not that
shots.
simple. Huh?
No, we do. We actually have drone shots showing the stream all the way down.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, Hunt, what was it that you were going to say after you?
Well, what I was going to say, a couple of basic things. A cause of action does lie, so that's fine. We also, as the DLA Commission, have standing to file a suit if that's what needs to be done. So those were the precursors. It does require some notice to the State Attorney General's office and the state offices with regard to the soil, and there may be some county involved. I got to go back and research that one. But the basic research is that you have to give them 30 days notice to come in and do something. And then if they don't do anything, you have the right to, your organization has a right to proceed. So there are some prerequisites to starting a suit, but certainly that can get the ball rolling and certainly would start the process of getting everybody's attention.
Would you notify the Attorney General's office, or who would do that?
Well, on behalf of the DLA Commission, yes.
Do we want to authorize Hunt to do that?
Well, I have a question. You said, Hunt, that we would have to ask them to do something. What are we going to ask them to do?
Well, basically, we're going to ask them to take action against the perpetrators.
No, I don't mean the Attorney General. I mean Is that what you meant? I thought you meant we're telling the perpetrators to do
No,
something.
no, no. You're telling the enforcement authority to do something about it. And if they don't enforce it, then we have the right to come in and try to enforce it ourselves
Okay.
by bringing the action
So
directly.
you're saying
against
you
the
got to notify the Attorney General's office to enforce, to have the public enforce, and then if they don't do anything, then we have a private right of action.
Correct.
And what are our remedies under a private right of action? You got to get an injunction against them?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. If you can establish, what needs to be done to correct the problem, and that would be Peter. So we had talked about this earlier on. Last year we talked about this.
Yeah.
Where if you could establish that that there was a certain level of contamination that you can identify, that they'd be responsible for cleaning it up.
Well, what's causing all that silt to get there in the first place? Or what are they doing to make that silt go in there?
They're ripping up soil. They're setting
New
foundations and not,
construction, and no soil containment.
Now,
or improper soil containment.
what would the Attorney General do to enforce?
Don't know. But you can't start your own suit until you tell him to do something.
Okay, and we're asking them to.
Why don't we move? Why don't we move to have Hunt do that?
Yes.
We're asking the Attorney General to do, Hunt.
Second.
All right, what's that?
Well, I'm not sure what we're asking the Attorney General.
We're asking him to enforce the Clean Water Act.
Okay.
You got to give notice to them, Jeannie. Otherwise, you don't have.
I understand that. I just don't know.
It's a prerequisite.
Yeah. Okay.
If you don't get your private right of action,
I'm all for it. I've been all for it the last.
Guys, hold on. Whoa.
So I'm all right.
Bruce made the motion. I'm seconding it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All right. Sylvia, we're moving on. We're doing it.
Touch.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Deal. Our friends in Deal, Richmond Avenue, storm grate situation. They haven't fixed them yet. I'm going to give them another month and remind them that they got to be in compliance with the state regulations. Is that correct, Mr. Avakian?
Mr. Chairman, not necessarily. There are certain criteria when you do road improvements that mandate you include stormwater management improvements as well.
Yeah.
One of them is the receipt of state or federal monies. And this was something that was done solely by the municipality. It was not a new construction project. It was a mill and overlay. There was no curbing that was installed. There was
That's
no
correct. That's
drainage
true.
that was installed. And technically the answer is no, they don't have to do it.
But they were nice enough to come back and say, we'll look into it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just so everyone knows, it was not a project that was designed and bid. It was something that was implemented by the municipality. I don't know if the Public Works Department did it or if they had a contractor that came in and did it.
The last item, old business, the Great Lakes, the New Jersey update. Steve, we have another meeting, next week, is it? Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Steve.
Yeah, we have a meeting next week. It's a Zoom meeting. And let me just look real quick. It is the 21st at 10 a.m.
Yeah. And we'll be talking about joint efforts. I mean, I think one of these days hopefully to have a meeting down here during the summer, but I don't think that's going to happen. We're all Zooming now. So, but nice people. They have, we're all similar problems. And it's nice to deal with another, these are large lakes with unique problems. The one thing I like about Deal Lake in comparison to them is we have more access to the lake than any of these lakes. They're very restricted because they have private residents along the lake. Very few entry points and fishing access points. We probably have more than Lake Apacon, believe it or not. So anyway, with that said, new business. We have the resolution on the audit.
Did everyone get to review the audit? Because we can, if not, we can hold it till the next meeting.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Everyone good?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a resolution that you certifying that you've read at a minimum the comments and recommendations. There were no recommendations. We were pretty good. So does someone want to offer?
I'll offer it.
Second,
I'll second.
Allenhurst,
Yes.
Asbury,
Yes.
Interlaken,
Yes.
Luck Arbor,
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. There's a, number 2 is a discussion on signs. There's a bunch of items around the lake I like to get fixed. I like to get an authorization for lake maintenance of about $500 to get some signs made, simple signs. There's a couple of bridges with access points. We need to put, they have marks on them now, but you really can't see them for access, clear access. And it'll be something, a fluorescent sign, round sign, green, and it says safest entry. That's all. We can't say it's perfect, but we can say it's the safest. So I'd like to, and I also like to get some signs up on the flume. And it's not part of the 319 grant. It has to be separate. Basically saying who manages the flume. I mean, put our website on there and put our name on there. And there's a few other signs that would be going up. It might include the Geese, but I just wanted to have not to exceed $500 so we can get these signs made up and get them up while we can during the season. So that's my motion.
Well, shouldn't we know what the signs are, Don?
What's that?
I got a sign here. I want to put a sign there.
No, the key ones are the green, round green signs. They'd be about 12 inches diameter, and they'd be reflective to show the access points for the bridge. The big one is the Main Street Bridge. There's really only one safe entrance through that bridge. There's all kinds of pilings and other debris that you have to go through. So I like to get signs on there, and I like to get a sign on the flume that talks about the DLA Commission. So that's the 2 signs right now. So that's not to exceed $500. I'm not sure how much they're going to cost, but that should give a lot of leeway for me to get them done.
Okay.
Okay. So
Someone
that's my
else?
motion. Is that a second, Bruce?
Yeah, I don't know if it's been moved, but did you move it?
Yeah, I did.
I second it.
Thank you. Allenhurst,
Yes.
Asbury Park.
I'm abstaining.
Interlaken,
John, you're talking about signs on the waterway, correct?
On the bridge, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
They're already there. You can't
Yes.
see them, though. That's a problem.
They're spray painted, yeah. Yep, yes.
Luck Arbor,
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes. Okay, the Deal Lake Watershed Alliance is having lake tours, 2 of them, July 26th and September 19th. It's up on our website, I believe. I think I put it up there. If not, I'll get it up there soon. Or not the website, but the Facebook page. Jeannie, if you can make sure that gets up.
It went out in our email.
Oh, cool. If we get up on the website, that'd be great.
Yeah, Ken knows to put it up
Okay.
on the website.
So those 2 things. The watershed, the Bimbler Avenue Garden, they're starting to work on that. If you drive by Bimbler, they have it marked out. I still have to sit down with Laura on that. I want to make sure that the firemen are involved and make sure there's clear access. And we need clear access to the entrance of the lake. It's got to be a clean shot for boats, for getting weed eaters in there or chemical sprayers, whatever we're going to be using, even dredge material. We got to make sure we have access, one straight access point, which is already there. We don't want that blocked by any structure. So we got to make sure that happens. But everything else looks fine. It's marked out. The little white flags all over the place. Not sure exactly what they mean, but they're there. And then there was another thing. I got to come up with design, but it's a flume information educational sign. Similar to what, if you saw the parking lot area in Asbury, which really came out great. They have 2 signs talking about birds and plants and various other things. And I like to do one for the flume. And I'm going to draft that out and have Steve check it over and Peter. But a board, basically it's a board mounted with a 6x6 with a nice solid structure on it, or it could be some other mounting device. But an information side on the surge chamber and the flume structure. So people that are walking through Asbury, or that new walkway, have a little information about Deal Lake, because nobody knows what's underneath that dirt. And Peter's got some great pictures in his office that we can use for that information. So it could be a pretty interesting drawing, because people don't know what we do, and that's one of the main things we do is control the water level. And we had a lot of effort put into building those structures over the years. Peter specifically was involved with the design and engineering of those things. So it goes back to 1921, right, Peter?
Yes, it does.
Yep.
Damn, he's old.
I know.
I know.
It's amazing. He looks pretty good for that old, huh?
Thank you.
I don't know about that.
Okay, with that, the railroad work, I have something else on it, number 6. The railroad is working hard over our lake right now. I took a video of it. I'll try to get it up on the Facebook page. It was really cool. They have a machine that basically, they take the stakes out, they slide the beam over, and then they pull it, yank it right out to the side. So it's a pretty comprehensive job. There's 3 or 4 vehicles involved. They're doing the whole railroad, and now they're right on Deal Lake today, and they'll probably be there for the rest of the week. If you get a chance to go over there and check it out, it's pretty neat. Cool stuff. I did talk to the guys about getting all the old ties up. He says no problem. They sell them for $8 a piece, so they want everyone out of there and get every dollar they can. And the metal, I think they take and recycle themselves. But he did say, interesting fact, that you can't sell that material to a scrapyard. It's supposedly against the law in the state of New Jersey. I didn't know that. You know, one of those stakes or any kind of the plates, because they don't want people taking apart the railroad and selling it for scrap metal. So I always thought the parts we found in the lake we can use for scrap, but we technically can't do that. They actually recommend that we pile them up near the crossing gates, and they would come by and pick them up from time to time. That's what they said. So, and then we had the river otters. I don't know if you saw the Facebook page, but we got a call, an email that river otters are in the lake. So the one gentleman saw 5. I saw 1 over by Interlake, over by Carol's house, and they're pretty cool. They're sizable creatures, and they're having a lot of fun in the lake. So it's a good sign. That's all I got on
just
new
something
business.
real quick. We skipped over just one thing. So
What's that? I'm sorry, go ahead.
The lake poster contest. Carolyn.
Yeah, we did talk about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Carolyn printed the shirts. She put a picture for each student, got their own artwork.
Oh, great.
Did a beautiful job with it. And I mailed them out right before I left, Wednesday. I mailed them out last Wednesday to each student and to the teacher. Sadly, every art teacher was laid off in the elementary schools in Asbury Park. So
for good?
Well, or however, I don't know, until they get money to hire them back, I guess. You know, they're always the first ones to go, art and music. So she's gone, unfortunately. So I wrote a letter to wish her
Even
well.
with tenure, you get laid off? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I got laid off every year for 12 years. Tenure, no tenure. Just if you're at the bottom of the list, you keep getting riffed. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And the art teacher got a shirt with all of the children's artwork on it.
Oh, that's nice. That's great.
Yeah, Carolyn did a beautiful job. She really did.
Jamie.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Did you take a picture of that one?
Do you
I
have
did
a
not.
picture of it? No.
Oh, you have the artwork, right?
I have the artwork.
You should make it into a turtle shell and put it on a turtle. That's what you should. There you go.
I think I've got the turtle.
That's right.
And
All right.
so those are really nice things to do. So
No, that's really
glad
great.
we did it. We sent it out.
Well done, Jeannie. Well done.
Well done, Carolyn. Good job.
During the summer, I mean, I'm going to try to encourage folks to pick up, litter as they boat around. I'm going to put some notices out. Jeannie and I can work on that, and we'll get some word out there. I was always thinking of buying nets for people, but I think people can pick stuff up on their own and use their own tools to do that. So, but it would be nice for people. There's so many people on the lake. If you haven't seen the lake lately, it's just incredible, the amount of boats. I mean, it gets so congested sometimes you can't even get through the trestles. you got to wait. So it's pretty exciting. With that, any more new business? Okay. Let's open it up for a public hearing.
Someone offer?
Oh, I do have a question. We
Uh-oh.
talked about having an executive session.
We're not going to do that right now.
Not now, but are we going to do that before our next meeting or?
Well, you know what? We might have a workshop. Sylvia had asked that question before, about a workshop before. And we can talk about that offline. Yes.
The one that we're doing in relation to Crown, the Nobility Crest, sorry, that one.
No, that's something different, but I'm thinking of something maybe for the Goose. Steve's got that briefing, and we can talk more about the Goose tree, Goose, because I think right now the Goose thing is a big deal. So
I do too, and I'd like to do that. I was just asking about Nobility Crest because Hunt had said that we need to have.
No, we're good. We're good on that. Now we voted on that. Hunt's gonna give the 30-day notice.
As I gather information to get this letter together, it's going to take some time to put the information together and get the notice out. And at that point, we'll have plenty of time to set up a meeting to discuss what we need, where we're going with it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it'll probably next month. So Hunt will have that done before the next meeting, and we'll be able to talk about it.
Right. Whether or not the 30 days would have expired is another question, but we'll see.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's open public hearing. Go ahead, Jess.
Someone please offer.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, anybody out there? Oh, we got to vote on it, right?
Brian Mullins, 107 Bimler Boulevard.
There he is.
2 questions. One for Peter. They tore down the Coke place. Anything submitted yet?
No, there is not. We had a conceptual plan review about 1.5 years ago, and subsequent to that, no plans have been submitted. Demolition permit only.
Does Neptune have ideas of what they'd like seen done with the wetlands behind it to protect it?
If you include me in the vast Neptune, group, yes. Neptune Township, probably not, but me representing Neptune, absolutely. So they were put on notice, and we'll see what they come back with. And I think this would be a perfect project for Steve to take a look at in the preliminary phase of design. So we'll see when we receive something. We'll talk about it.
Okay, and then the second half of my question is for Dr. Souza. Hollow Brook always looks like the photos that Sylvia presented. And you had said years ago it has to do with the carp. I can't believe there's that many carp in the pond back there, that the whole pond looks clay brown all the time. And actually, it looks cleaner after a heavy rain as a black cloud of silt comes down the stream and fills the pond black. And then it drops back to that brown.
To be honest with you, Brian, I can't recall the discussion about the carp, but I think the problems with Hollow are similar to what's happened with Colonial Terrace, and you're getting sediment washed down through the creek, through that. Even there's an extensive wetland there just on the other side of 66. I mean, you're getting sediment that's constantly washing down. And the problem with the sediment in this watershed is that it's extremely fine. So once it's there, it doesn't settle out. But maybe Peter and I can visit that at some point in time. I mean, I don't know, Peter. You think they did close up and cap the landfill adequately. I mean, we've walked up there, recently. It was as little as a couple of years ago. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure, why that turbidity is always there. But I don't think it's just because of the carp either. So I don't recall that discussion. But
Well, it just always befuddled me because it just always looks that way. So.
Yeah. Well,
I just wanted to ask your opinion on why the water always looks that way.
We could solve part of that problem. We could take the carp out of that section, which we could probably.
Well, the Osprey have been hunting and they come up with stuff. So who knows? Maybe they'll kill them all out of there, or catch them all, eat them.
I'm just trying to think easiest way to get in there. I assume from the west is the easiest way to get in there or not?
I think that's where Peter knows where they got in to dredge it 25 years ago.
I don't see them coming in from the west there, though. They're going through drainage structures to come in from the west.
No, I meant the people to go down and do any work down there.
Access,
You want to put
yeah,
some netting down.
built,
If we want to experiment with our nets.
We built a whole road and lost several pieces of equipment during that project.
I remember that. We had a track hoe
long neck backhoe.
Exactly. Jack can tell you about, I mean, at Mill Pond, so like a 90-acre lake out in Long Island, and we used these experimental nets and removed about 3,000 pounds of carp in 2 days with these baited nets. And yeah, that little section there on Hollow Brook would be perfect because there's nowhere for them to run. You basically bait the net with cracked corn over about 4 or 5 days, and it's a pretty cool net. It's on triggers, and when you trigger the net, the walls come flying up. And it's like, so it's a big box net. It's about 15 by 30, and just traps all the carp in there.
And we could do that at Terrace Pond too. That would help Terrace Pond.
Yeah.
Is there anything that can be planted, like reed or something, throughout the mouth, per se, like on the north side of Asbury Avenue, that would slow down or act to kind of catch silt?
Yeah, exactly. Peter and I have advocated that, for years.
Brian, I think that's what you're talking about on the development site of the Coca-Cola plant. And Steve had proposed a sediment basin there, which wasn't allowed to be constructed because it was considered online to the water course. But it's something that I did bring up with the developer, and we'll see where that goes.
Okay.
But so there's reed and because you're not allowed to block a stream. So is planting something within a stream considered blocking it? But that would slow down and catch.
Yeah, that would. I mean, we'd have to divert some of the flow and like a flow skimmer or something. But I mean, we've looked at that. Yeah, you can't build it online, but there might be some other ways, and we could get some innovative. Get a little bit innovative on that. But
if
Peter
a tree
and I
falls.
Hey Brian, if you go to 35, right by the barbecue place, between the barbecue place and the Coke plant, that's all wetlands there, and it's all certified by the state. And there's reeds all through that area. I mean, it's pretty nice, actually.
At one time, there was some heavy equipment back there from O'Hagan's, wasn't there?
Right. But then, luckily, they didn't do that much damage. But it was the Coke plant area is pretty well foliage. And then when you get down to, Asbury Avenue, I still haven't figured out how the water gets through there. It's very bizarre. It looks like
that's because it's collapsing.
It's collapsing. Right. Yeah, we took out 10 bags of trash a couple of months ago.
Right.
From that location. So anyway, and by the way, I'm asking I'm not sure if we can do it, but since we're not going to be treating the lower section, I want to ask, I don't know if we have the permit. I think we have the permit for that. Can we do Hollow Brook? Throw some, if we have the proper conditions, can we treat that, Steve, or not?
I'd have to look to see how that permit's defined, if it's for all of Deal Lake or whatever, but.
Because we have the money on the table, so we could probably treat Hollow Brook if it's within the permit.
Yeah.
So Brian, I know you asked me before, so we'll ask Solitude if we can do that.
Okay. Thank you.
John, you're talking about not treating next year or this?
No, this year, another treatment this year.
Right, we're not doing another treatment this year.
Downstream, we are doing one on the if it's allowable with water conditions. We're going to do one.
Right.
In the next 2 weeks, actually. Next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So.
But that's okay, got it.
All right, thanks, Brian. Anybody else in the public? Okay. Motion to close.
Wait. Hello.
Whoa! Oh, I hear somebody.
Yeah.
Peter.
Hi, yeah, Peter. This is a different Peter. It's not Peter Avakian, who is our borough engineer. My name is Peter Hughes. I'm the chairperson of the Interlake and Shade Tree Commission. I live at 512 Bendemeer Avenue.
Oh, hi, Peter.
Hi, thank you all, and I don't want to prolong this meeting. I just do want to congratulate this team, this commission, and especially Carolyn, our representative, for all the great work you're doing. And so, you know, we have very much, we passed, you may or may not know, an ordinance in Interlake this year to prevent the cutting down of what we call heritage trees,
Yay!
greater than
Sorry.
a 40-inch circumference, because we're very concerned about maintaining our banks and preventing erosion into the lake. And that's part of it. We also, the main reason is to protect our tree canopy and manage our trees in a way that's good for Interlake and in the whole area, regional area, in terms of tree canopy. My question right now to the group is, can you elucidate what the timeline is for the Ocean Township Sewerage Authority building on the west side of the main lake, what the plan is there, and when that might be seeing some resolution? It seems to be dragging on. I don't know if that's the right term, but it seems to be prolonged. What's the game plan? Thank you.
Yeah, I had a little, you know, I've been talking to the sewer authority a lot, and it just takes, it's a process, right? So they had to find the location where they're going to put the new building, the pumps, and they did that. They put the new pumps in. Then they transferred the old pumps to the new pumps so they could flow the sewage out to the pumping station. At the next phase, they put, I believe, a new temporary electrical system in that wooden structure that's to the north of the road, the old road, right? And then after they got that hooked up and functional, they shut down the old building and tore it apart. If you remember that.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of staging. And they actually have good, it might seem like it's taking a lot of time, but if you look, there's a lot of concrete being poured. There's a lot of piping going in and a lot of electrical work. And that's going in right now. And if you drive by, I think the concrete, Peter saw it recently, the concrete walls are being formed. So they're moving along. So as soon as that building's built, and it's up 13 feet higher, I believe, and I think the pumps are all waterproof, I believe. You know, everything's underwater in that one section. They're going to take down the wooden structure, and I believe they're going to have a separate contract to improve that whole area. I think that's what you're probably concerned with, is the look. And they're going to make it beautiful. That's what they tell me.
Well,
They're
thank
pouring
you.
tons of concrete
Not
there.
just the look, Don, but is there any impact on the lake when this project is finished? Can you speak to that?
We don't believe so. I mean, I think it's going to be a huge improvement to the lake. They're going to replace the wall. We're going to encourage them to take as much material out along the wall as they can, because I'm sure things have fallen into the lake. But it's a big impact to the lake for sure. So, you know, and what I'm hearing is they're going to put a new wall up. I'm not sure what material. I assume it's going to be some kind of plastic material with wooden beams like in Lock Harbor. Peter, do you know any more about the material?
Only that we recommended they use the construction detail, which I think they were going to, because we had some sheathing remaining, and I think they're going to use it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So thanks, Peter, for that. Hey, Peter, I got some information for you. So we had a tree down in Interlake and by the gate, by your entrance gate, and we hired a contractor. It was a navigable entranceway to the lake there in the West Allender section. So we had it removed recently by Burke Environmental. We paid for that. They were thinking about, there was a dead tree there. I think we got permission from the mayor to remove it, but Burke didn't do that. I haven't talked to them yet why, but I don't think they're done, because they have to come back and flip the stump back up. The mayor wanted the stump to remain, I believe. So we're going to remove it. Right now it's in the down position, so they're going to flip it up. So I just wanted to know that.
We did give permission to remove the second tree.
Yeah, yeah. So The other piece was there's a lot of trees you guys maintained and did a great job on. But I noticed, I walk that street, Bimbler, all the time, and I'm sorry, Bridlemere. And there's a problem with a couple of trees that are ready to fall on the sidewalk. So offline, you and I can talk, if you don't mind. Carol, you know Pete's number? Do you have his contact information?
I can provide it. I don't think we do, but I
Okay.
can provide it. Yeah, absolutely.
great.
Oh, I would welcome that conversation. And
Yeah, so yeah, I see trees all the time. I mean, I like trees that are dead, leaning over the lake. I don't have a problem with that, but these are unsafe and somebody's going to get hurt. So,
Okay.
I'd like to say something to you, Peter. This is Jean Tour, Asbury Park Commissioner. First, I want to just say congratulations passing your heritage trees ordinance.
That's true.
And I've been speaking with the Asbury Park folks, and I would like to get a copy of the ordinance. If you could use our website where it says contact, and just send your contact information with the heritage trees, you know, the link or whatever way we could access that ordinance, I'd appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. The ordinance is on our website under Shade Tree Commission, so you can access it. But Jean, I will reach out to you and make sure you get that info. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I can send it to you as well if you need it, Jeannie.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you. And I'm really glad that you did that.
Yeah, Peter, thanks a lot for calling. I definitely want to talk to you more. I got a bunch of things to talk about offline. With that, I think, is that it for the public?
Yes.
Okay. Let's close down the public session, please.
Motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Oh,
Second.
Carol.
A motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.